This is the AI content writer tool. It's intended to create complete pieces of SEO optimized content, all starting with just a topic as well as some other inputs here. And then the output will be the full complete piece of content. You'll have a downloadable, which will have everything within a Word document, some of the research that was done so you can reference back to it, the keyword targets, and of course the full piece of optimized content. When you're actually looking at the inputs, you have your head keyword that you add right here. You have the option between a few different readability levels. This might change in the future. So if the options are slightly different than what you see right here, don't worry about that. There are content length options. So there's auto, which will look at the search results and decide what is the most optimal length and write it in that length. There's also short, medium, long, and extra long, as you see right there. There's the option to add links, either internal or external. Anything you add in here, you add your anchor text and your link, will be naturally inserted into the blog post. So you have a complete post with links. The links are completely optional. You have the option to add a custom outline. So if you toggle this open, you can add in an outline right here, and that will actually be used to generate the post. If you don't add an outline, it will just come up with an outline based on SERP analysis, come up with kind of a best practice outline, and write the content based on an outline that it being the platform figures out for you. There's a sources blacklist. So this means any domains that you don't want to use as sources to help write this content should be added here. You have context and framing. So this is something like, hey, I want this to be a comparison style post. So you might be like, hey, my topic is, I don't know, running shoes, say running shoes. And then it could be like, okay, I want a comparison style post where it's comparing the best running shoes. Oh, I obviously use this example a lot because that's actually the one I put right here as well. That's an example. You could say like, this is a comparison style post about this, or this should be a step-by-step guide to guide the AI and ensure that the final output is as aligned as possible with what you were expecting, and brand guidelines. So if you have anything that's like tone of voice, how you like content to be written, any kind of examples you want to provide, anything like that, throw it in here, and the AI will use that to reference as writing the content to try to ensure that things are as aligned with your brand voice as possible. Outside of just using this tool directly to make a piece of content, one thing that I actually like doing is using the editorial brief tool to first create a very detailed brief and then using that as my custom outline. So what I could do here is that I'll go in and look up the editorial content brief generator, run a topic through this tool, get the output. Just for the sake of this example, I'll use this right here, which is an example output from the tool. And I'll go down to the content outline, which provides a very robust, detailed, optimized outline for a piece of content. I'll copy this, and then I will jump back over to the content writer tool. I'll put it in our topic, which was Iceland in the winter for that example piece. So I added the custom outline, which was taken directly from the editorial brief tool, put in my head keyword, readability level. I'm going to use auto. As noted, I generally like using auto, but if you, for example, are working with a client and they expect, 1,500 words, whatever it ends up being, obviously you might want to be a little bit more specific there. I don't currently have any internal links to add or external links or anything like that, so I'll leave that blank, and I'm going to just run the content writer from there. And again, this is great because we are getting a very, very robust outline from the content briefing tool and inputting it into here to use. In addition, what's great about that approach is that once you have that piece of content, you also have this entire outline that goes over all the best practices and everything that was used to generate that outline that you could use for a client deliverable. In addition, it has recommendations in here for media ideas. So you could go ahead and start figuring out what kind of media to input into that piece of content in order to finalize that blog article, whatever it ends up being. Once the job starts running, you could hover right here to see a status update, and you could click into here to see the steps that's going through. If you hover right here over the inputs, you can see all the inputs that you used for this job, and it will take a couple minutes here. So this is now complete. You can see it took, I think that's about 6 minutes to actually run, so it does take a little bit there. But if we look at the result, we now have that zip file, we have our core keywords, and we have the full piece of content ready to go and all heavily optimized. Again, it will be based on that outline that we inputted. In this case, because we use the custom outline. So if we come in here and we look at this, we see, for example, planning your winter Iceland trip. We see packing for Iceland winter, and we see other headers in there. We hop back in here and we should see planning our Iceland trip, packing for Iceland's winter, et cetera, et cetera. It takes that outline directly from the content brief tool that we grab this context from. Just to recap here, you can come in, go to the content writer tool. You have a few different options. You add your head keyword, readability level, content length. Those 3 items are the only things that are ever absolutely required. After that, you could choose to add links that will be added as either internal or external links within the blog post itself. Furthermore, you can add the custom outline if you want to be more specific about what you want to be writing. You have the sources backlist if there's any specific websites you don't want the tool to be using for sourcing. You have that context and framing if you want something like, hey, I want this to be a comparison post or a step-by-step post. If you want something specific in terms of how the context and framing of the post is, you use that right there. And lastly, you have the option to add in your brand guidelines. If there's any specific tone of voice, if there's any specific writing examples you want to provide or anything like that. Again, the rest of those are optionals. The only things that are ever required to create this piece of content or any piece of content is the head keyword, readability level, and content length. I think that's about it. Of course, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.